Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.
Andy, thank you for joining me today on Switch. First game back at the War Memorial Ground. How was the emotions today?
Thanks, John. Yeah, they were all over the place, in all honesty. Players felt that a little bit. One of the biggest things we focused on this week was ensure kind of the emotion didn't take over the game and the occasion. And unfortunately, I think the first 45 minutes it definitely did. I think we saw that with the way that we played. And some of the individuals kind of were trying to do too much and maybe get into that kind of battle with Stourbridge, which, I knew was going to be really tough if we got into that type of game. So it stopped us from playing a little bit. And that was my half-time team talk, really. We had to try and get rid of that emotion, but it was really tough. It was great to be back, of course, at the War Memorial, but the emotion there kind of took over a lot of the game today, and from both sides, really. And it made it a really tight battling contest, which was enjoyable in some ways, especially for people like you and other neutrals. I think for us on the sideline, it was nail biting, especially towards the end.
Well, it was a tight game, and a lot of people in the crowd were saying that maybe Stourbridge won the first half and Kiddy Harriers won the second half. What were your overall thoughts of the game?
Yeah, I don't even know it was that. I think it was probably closer than that, in all honesty. I think Stourbridge and Megan, when we've had conversations at the end of the game there, probably go away and go, you know what, we deserve something out of the game. And I think they'd be warranted to say that. So, but, all this talk about Stourbridge and they haven't won and they're struggling and this and that. I've watched footage of them every week leading up to this game. And there's moments in those games that they've played where I've seen actually it might not have been that scoreline and they work hard. And that was, that was one thing I said to my group is they're going to battle. Yeah, they're going to get into that game where they want to be, what they want it to be, a battling game, and they did exactly that and draw us into it. So I think we showed character to win the game massively because they had chances, no doubt about it, but we held on. Our keepers made some good saves. We've had a couple of chances first half, but we've held on, and that's the difference sometimes when you've got a bit of experience in your changing room, and I think that's helped us get through today. But it's been a really close, emotionally tested battle out there today, which is exactly, and you know it because I said it to you, exactly how I knew it was going to be. It was never going to be one team smashing the other one, as maybe other people thought. So full respect to Stourbridge, and I have, and as I've said to our previous coach and Meg, and I've said to some of the players in there, if they play like that, I think they'll start picking up points for sure.
Stourbridge, as you mentioned, had 3 chances in the first half. Liv Woolston also had a chance for yourself, a great save by Ellie Maylock as well. Did you say anything at half time, or did you change anything at half time, because you seemed to limit their chances in the second half?
Yeah, I'll give them a rollicking. I'll give them a rollicking at half time because as soon as I walked into the January, the emotions took over completely. We were doing things to get into the battle with their players instead of trying to play a bit of football. Conditions were tough out there as well, so they added to that. But Stourbridge could have easily been up, and that was what I said to them. Yes, we had the Liv Woolston chance and a couple of maybe other half chances, but they had some really good chances at the other end to maybe be ahead, and that's what I said to them. I said it's going to be a very, very horrible situation in 45 minutes if you've gone and lost this today, because everyone's expecting Kiddy Harriers to win this game on paper, but I knew it wasn't going to be the case. So that was what I said to him. I said, you need to take the emotion out of it. You've got to slow things down. You've got to play a little bit of football, play into feet. And that was what we changed a little bit. So we started really well. I thought into the second half, I thought we started to open them up a little bit. And I think it just pegged them back a little bit more than maybe what we did in the first half. And then we tactically changed it when we got the goal. And I think that kind of put us just ahead in that second half. But ultimately, they needed that little bit of a wake-up call at half-time because we didn't form the levels that we needed to. 45, and I think that was purely based around the kind of the Derby boys, the emotion, and a lot of the players being back at the club that's kind of been home for them over the last 6, 7, 8 years.
Niamh Deasy got her first goal for Kiddy Harriers today. Liv Woolston scored last weekend. Mel Rogers has scored as well throughout the season. That front three, are they now moving forward and progressing throughout the season?
Obviously we're trying to do a lot of work with the front three there. They're all very talented footballers. There's just we've noticed that kind of the working together of it. Deasy's still getting up to match fitness, and what she will do is she'll pounce on things like she did today. Because Mel Rogers' hard work that presses Ellen goal and we win the ball back, but Deasy's there to kind of slot it in. So that's what Deasy does, but we've just got to get that kind of front three working. I think Liv Woolston was one of the best players on the pitch today. I thought she stretched Stourbridge massively, and I think getting Liv Woolston back into that mode will help us massively. It's not just that, we've got other forwards that can come into that line, so it's just making sure we're getting them that front three, which is what we worked on a lot this week, working the way that we want them to work. So it's work in progress. Just been speaking to H out there because we know it's not a finished article where we would be. But I think when you've got a team coming into this division from tier 5, when we've added a few additions, it was never going to be just pre-season that was going to solve things. And coming into this division, when you look at some of the results today, you look at Worcester's, I think it was 80 minutes 2-1 to Bournemouth, and Barnsley and Leith. This league is so tough, tougher than it's ever been. Probably based out on physicality and fitness. There's a lot of that now in this league. So we're just work in progress. The good thing is that we're 6 points on the board, and that's important against a really good Notts County, and then against a local derby down at the War Memorial. So we've got a few tough ones. I mean, Lincoln getting a point against Northampton today just shows you where the league's at. So really tough division, and we've just still got to keep learning and still keep developing and working with the best players that we've got, which is, as you've said, those front three and others that may be competing up there.
You mentioned 6 points now out of 4 games. You got Barnsley away next. Are you looking at that game and looking at changing the things, or are you happy with how things are going so far?
Yeah, I mean, Barnsley will be tough. We know that, and if they pick up points against a really strong Leith field, it just shows you where they're at. But yes, we'll change things that we need to. We brought in Lucy Pugh again today to give us a bit more energy in that midfield, which I think we need, and we might need to take that next week into Barnsley, because I think it's going to be a really tough away day, and we've got to try and go there and get something as best we can, and that's part of the game. The game changing week in, week out. You'll have different challenges, and the group know that. So certain players who may not have been in the squad today or may not started probably might start next week because of the challenge we have away against Barnsley. So you don't always set up the same. You don't always keep that consistent team as much as you want to, because you have to face the challenges that are ahead, and Barnsley will be a really tough challenge.
And you beat me to it there, mentioning Lucy Pugh, obviously a new signing from Leicester Academy. What can you tell us a bit about this player?
She's been training with us for a while now. She's had a bit of an ankle injury, and we looked at her quite early on, but just that ankle injury was kind of a worry for her and us. And then over the last few weeks, she's kind of hit the ground running in training, and she looks like a player that is going to come in and be ratty and aggressive for us, and actually can get the ball down and play. So she's kind of a bit of a player that we need in that area. We've got loads, and I know that, and they all keep reminding me, but this division requires that. We have to keep improving. We're scraping results at the moment. It isn't all roses, we know that, so we've got to keep strengthening, and Lucy surely will add that to us.
Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.